Imagine a ribbon of steel, sleek and modern, gliding through the vast, sun-drenched plains of Kenya. This is not a train that rumbles on the ground. It soars, suspended high above the ancient earth on colossal concrete pillars. Below, a timeless scene unfolds. A herd of elephants, their great wrinkled hides dusted with red earth, moves with unhurried grace. A family of giraffes, their long necks reaching for the tender leaves of an acacia tree, barely glances up as the train passes. This is the Standard Gauge Railway, a marvel of modern engineering that has become a new feature in one of the world's most iconic landscapes, a silent observer passing over the wild heart of Africa. The train itself is a streak of red and white against the endless blue sky, a symbol of progress moving with a quiet hum. Inside, passengers gaze out of large, clear windows, watching the panorama of the savannah slide by. They see herds of zebra, their stripes a dazzling illusion in the heat haze, and wildebeest gathering for their great migration. The train does not disturb them. It does not interrupt their ancient paths. It exists in a different realm, a skybound corridor that respects the life teeming below. This extraordinary railway allows humans and wildlife to coexist in a way that was once thought impossible, a testament to a new way of thinking about development. This is a journey unlike any other. The train, known affectionately as the Madaraka Express, travels from the bustling capital city of Nairobi to the vibrant port of Mombasa on the Indian Ocean. For nearly 500 kilometers, it threads its way through diverse and breathtaking scenery. It crosses deep valleys and wide rivers, offering its passengers a perspective usually reserved for the birds. It is a spectacle of harmony, where the rigid lines of human construction meet the untamed, flowing beauty of nature. The iron serpent does not crush the land. It floats above it, a gentle giant in a land of giants. The experience is one of peace and wonder. The rhythmic, gentle motion of the train is a world away from the bumpy, dusty roads that once defined this journey. It is a moment of reflection, a chance to witness the raw majesty of Kenya's national parks from a unique and privileged vantage point. The sight of a lioness basking in the morning sun or a cheetah perched on a termite mound, all seen from the comfort of a modern carriage, is a powerful reminder of what is at stake. This railway is more than just a mode of transport. It is a moving window into the soul of a continent, a place where the future and the past travel side by side. This remarkable railway is a project of staggering scale and ambition. The main line stretches for 472 kilometers, a steel spine connecting Kenya's economic heart to its coastal gateway. What is most astonishing is the speed at which it was brought to life. In less than 3 years, a period of intense and relentless work, this monumental piece of infrastructure rose from the ground up. This feat was made possible through a partnership with China, with the China Road and Bridge Corporation leading the design and construction. Nearly every aspect of the project, from the initial blueprints to the final bolt, was a product of Chinese engineering and delivery. The cost of this grand vision was approximately $3.8 billion, a significant investment in Kenya's future. The trains that run on these tracks are built for the modern world, capable of reaching speeds of up to 120 kilometers per hour for passenger services. This has dramatically reduced travel time between Nairobi and Mombasa from a grueling 10-hour-plus road journey to a comfortable and scenic ride of about 5 hours. But the railway's most revolutionary feature is its design. A significant portion of the line, especially through sensitive areas like Tsavo National Park, is elevated on bridges and viaducts. This elevated design is a direct response to one of Africa's greatest challenges: how to build for the future without destroying the past. By lifting the railway off the ground, engineers created a system that allows wildlife to move freely beneath it. The tall pillars create wide underpasses, ensuring that the ancient migratory routes of elephants, wildebeest, and other animals remain unbroken. This is a profound statement. It demonstrates that development does not have to come at the cost of the environment. It is a solution born of respect for the natural world, a promise that progress can be gentle. Furthermore, the railway was built using a standard gauge track, which is wider and more stable than the old meter gauge track it replaced. This modern standard allows for heavier loads and faster speeds, making it far more efficient for transporting goods from the port of Mombasa inland. The capacity for freight is immense, with each cargo train capable of carrying over 200 containers. This efficiency is the true engine of the project, a powerful tool designed to drive Kenya's economy forward and connect it more effectively to the rest of the world. The railway is not just a line on a map, it is a high-speed artery for commerce and prosperity. To understand why this new railway is so important, we must look back at the one it replaced. The old line, completed at the dawn of the 20th century, was a relic of a different era. Built by the British colonial administration, it was known, rather infamously, as the Lunatic Express. The name was born from the immense challenges and loss of life during its construction, and the British politicians who questioned the sanity of spending a fortune on a railway into what they considered the wilderness. It was a remarkable feat for its time, but it was built for the purposes of an empire, not for the needs of an independent Kenyan nation. This old railway was constructed using a meter gauge, a narrower track that limited the speed and weight of the trains. Over the decades, it fell into a state of disrepair. The journey became notoriously slow and unreliable. Trains would frequently break down, and derailments were common. What was once a symbol of colonial power became a symbol of stagnation. The line struggled to handle the demands of a growing modern economy. It was a bottleneck, choking the flow of goods from the port of Mombasa, which is the busiest in East Africa, to the rest of the country and beyond. The problems of the old railway were felt across the entire nation. Businesses waiting for imported materials or parts would face unpredictable and costly delays. A container that should have taken a day to travel from the port could take a week or more, stuck on a broken-down train somewhere in the vastness of the Tsavo. This unreliability forced most cargo onto the country's already congested roads. An endless stream of heavy trucks thundered between Nairobi and Mombasa, damaging the road surface, causing terrible traffic jams, and contributing to a high number of accidents. The old railway was simply no longer fit for purpose. For the people of Kenya, this meant higher prices for goods in the shops, as the cost of transport was passed on to the consumer. For farmers in the countryside, it meant their fresh produce might spoil before it could reach the city or the port for export. For clinics in remote areas, it meant vital medical supplies could be delayed for days. The Lunatic Express was more than just an old railway. It was a ghost of the past, a constant and frustrating brake on the nation's progress. Kenya needed to break free from this legacy and build a new connection to the future. The impact of a slow and broken transport system ripples through every layer of society, affecting everyday life in countless ways. Imagine you are a small business owner in Nairobi who makes furniture. You depend on imported wood and fittings that arrive at the port of Mombasa. With the old system, a shipment could be stuck at the port or on a broken-down train for weeks. This means your workshop sits idle, you cannot fulfill orders for your customers, and you struggle to pay your employees. The uncertainty makes it nearly impossible to plan for the future or grow your business, trapping you in a cycle of inefficiency. Now think of a farmer who grows fresh avocados or green beans in the fertile highlands. These are valuable crops in high demand in European markets. The farmer's livelihood depends on getting this produce to the airport or the port quickly, while it is still fresh. A delay of just a few days on a slow, unreliable train or a truck stuck in traffic can mean the entire harvest spoils. This is not just a loss of income for the farmer, it is a loss for the entire community that relies on the farm for jobs. the dream of exporting to the world becomes a recurring nightmare of logistical failure. Consider the challenge for a rural health clinic. It serves hundreds of families, providing essential medicines for everything from malaria to childhood vaccinations. These supplies are often transported from the central stores in Nairobi. When the transport network is clogged and slow, a clinic can run out of life-saving drugs. A doctor is left unable to treat a sick child, not because the medicine doesn't exist, but because it is stuck on a truck or a train somewhere between the city and the village. The consequences of this broken link in the supply chain can be devastating for the health and well-being of the most vulnerable people. Even daily life for ordinary families was made more difficult. The high cost of transporting fuel, food, and building materials meant that everything was more expensive. A family's weekly budget was stretched thin, leaving less money for school fees, healthcare, or savings. The dream of building a better home or starting a small shop seemed further away when the price of cement or cooking oil was inflated by transport costs. The old, failing infrastructure was like a heavy weight, holding back the aspirations of millions of Kenyans. A new railway was not a luxury, it was an absolute necessity, a lifeline for a nation eager to move forward. Faced with the monumental task of replacing its aging railway, Kenya looked for a partner who could provide a complete solution. It needed not just the engineering know-how, but also the financial backing to make such a massive project a reality. This is where China stepped forward. The offer was comprehensive. Chinese banks, primarily the Export-Import Bank of China, would provide the majority of the financing, making the $3.8 billion project affordable for Kenya. Chinese companies with vast experience in building high-speed rail networks would provide the engineering and construction expertise. This partnership was part of a much larger vision known as the Belt and Road Initiative. This is China's ambitious global development strategy aimed at creating a modern-day Silk Road of trade and infrastructure networks connecting Asia with Africa and Europe. The goal is to foster trade, investment, and connectivity between countries. For China, the Kenyan Railway was a flagship project, a demonstration of its ability to deliver transformative infrastructure in Africa. It was a way to build stronger economic and diplomatic ties, creating new markets for its companies and securing routes for trade. For Kenya, this was an opportunity to leapfrog decades of underdevelopment. The country gained access to cutting-edge technology and a construction force capable of delivering the project on a scale and at a speed that would have been impossible to achieve alone. The agreement involved not only building the track, but also supplying the locomotives, the rolling stock, and the modern communications and signaling systems. It was a turnkey solution, a complete package designed to create a fully functional world-class railway from scratch, ensuring that all the components worked together seamlessly. The arrangement was a powerful example of a new kind of international cooperation. While some observers raised questions about the long-term debt, for Kenya, the potential economic benefits were seen as far outweighing the risks. The government viewed the railway as a critical enabler project, an investment that would unlock economic growth across many other sectors, from manufacturing and agriculture to tourism and logistics. By solving its biggest infrastructure bottleneck, Kenya hoped to become a more competitive and attractive hub for investment in East Africa, securing its position as a regional economic leader for generations to come. Before the first piece of track could be laid, an immense amount of planning was required. The process of surveying and designing the railway was a monumental task in itself. Teams of hundreds of surveyors, engineers, and environmental experts from both Kenya and China fanned out across the proposed 472-kilometer route. They used a combination of traditional on-the-ground surveying techniques and modern technology, including satellite imagery and GPS mapping. Their job was to plot the most efficient, safest, and environmentally sensitive path for the new railway. The challenges they faced were immense. The route had to cross the Great Rift Valley, a complex geological formation with varied and often difficult terrain. It had to navigate through the dense and hilly landscapes near Nairobi and descend to the flat, hot coastal plains of Mombasa. But the greatest challenge of all was Tsavo National Park, one of Kenya's oldest and largest wildlife sanctuaries. The plan had to ensure the railway could pass through this precious ecosystem with the absolute minimum of disruption. This required careful study of animal behavior, mapping their migratory routes, and identifying their key habitats. The construction phase was a race against time, an operation running 24 hours a day. One of the most significant engineering puzzles was how to build the scores of bridges and viaducts, especially the elevated sections through Tsavo. Huge concrete pillars had to be sunk deep into the earth to support the weight of the track and the trains. This often involved working in remote locations, with difficult soil conditions and the constant presence of wildlife. Special measures were taken to manage noise and dust to avoid disturbing the animals. The logistics were staggering, requiring the precise coordination of thousands of workers and heavy machinery. To solve the wildlife challenge, engineers designed and built over 140 bridges and wildlife channels. The most impressive of these is the 2-kilometer-long Tsavo Super Bridge, which allows entire herds of elephants to pass underneath. In other areas, culverts and underpasses were specifically designed for smaller animals. Fencing was erected along parts of the track to guide animals towards these safe crossing points and prevent them from wandering onto the railway line. This careful and considered approach to construction showcased a new model for building major infrastructure in environmentally sensitive areas, proving that nature and progress can find a way to coexist. The completion of the standard gauge railway marked more than just the opening of a new transport link. It represented a moment of profound national pride and a symbol of a new chapter for Kenya. For the first time in over a century, the nation had a railway built for its own needs, designed to serve its people and power its economy. The sleek, fast trains gliding across the savannah are a powerful visual statement of progress, a sign that Kenya is taking control of its own destiny and building a future of its own design. It has transformed the way Kenyans see their own country and its potential. The economic impact is already being felt. The cost of transporting a container from Mombasa to Nairobi has been significantly reduced, making businesses more competitive. The port of Mombasa is more efficient, able to clear cargo faster and attract more ships. This has a ripple effect across the entire East African region, as neighboring landlocked countries like Uganda and Rwanda also rely on this crucial trade corridor. The railway is positioning Kenya as the undisputed logistics hub of the region, attracting investment and creating thousands of jobs, not just in transport, but in manufacturing, warehousing, and services. This project has also set a new benchmark for infrastructure development across the African continent. It has shown that it is possible to undertake mega-projects that are not only technologically advanced, but also environmentally conscious. The elevated design through Tsavo National Park has become a case study for other nations, looking to build roads and railways without destroying their precious natural heritage. It sends a message that economic growth does not have to be a battle against nature, but can be achieved in harmony with it. The SGR is a source of inspiration, a blueprint for sustainable development. Ultimately, the standard gauge railway is a story of connection. It connects the coast to the interior, the city to the countryside, and businesses to markets. But more than that, it connects Kenya's present to a more prosperous and self-determined future. It is a vital artery in the growing network of infrastructure that is beginning to crisscross the African continent, linking nations and unlocking the immense potential of its people. As the red and white train continues its journey across the plains, it carries more than just passengers and cargo. It carries the hopes and dreams of a nation, and indeed, of a continent on the rise.